let's get started for our yin practice. You might start in a seated shape just like this. Maybe you have a prop or something underneath your tailbone. Of course, if you want to lay down and begin practice that way, you're welcome to. But once you're done shifting around within your seat and becoming comfortable, you're welcome to close your eyes. If not, maybe you just lower the gaze and not look at anything specific. But then from there, we'll fully let ourselves arrive. And we'll take a few transitory breaths here. A few transitory breaths. Allowing our senses to draw inwards. Taking those few transitory breaths, welcoming ourselves into the practice, into the stillness of the body. And how can we use our stillness today to offer ourselves stability? Within the ever-moving external world and ever-moving internal world, right? Our internal body is always in movement of some sort, whether it's the breath or the heartbeat, digestion, right? Circulation of other cells and nutrients and such. So through this ever-moving world and this constant flow of motion, how can we allow our stability or our stillness to offer stability to ourselves? And so we'll think about that today throughout our practice. Letting the stillness here serve as that person where you can lean your head on their shoulder. We'll lean into the stillness here. Reframing our thoughts and ideas about stability or structure, maybe protection. Right? We can take this into a couple different avenues. And so we'll take another moment here of breath. Begin to soften into the body. Feel yourself begin to relax. And again, checking in with our intentions of practice. How can we allow stillness to serve as our stability? And so with this in mind, you might keep your hands relaxed within the lap. You might guide them into a prayer shape at heart center. And then from here, we'll open up our space for practice with a full cleansing breath. Together here, we'll inhale through the nose and open the lips to exhale. Pausing for a moment, allowing the warmth of that breath to settle within the heart space, to reverberate off the walls of the inner body, and to seal our intentions for practice. And so then from there, you're welcome to slowly open the eyes and bring the hands away. We're going to start tonight in Deer. One of my favorite poses to begin practice with anyway. So as we come to sit back down, we're gonna bring one shin in front of us and one shin behind us. So let's allow the left shin to come in front and the right knee back behind. Now, if we were sitting in a cross-legged shape, I'm just gonna allow my left shin to sweep in front of me, my right knee to sweep behind me here. And then of course you can support the glutes, the tailbone, maybe just the left hip itself, whatever's best for your body with a pillow or blanket. You can take as many pillows or blankets or blocks, bolsters as you'd like here. And as you stack things or fold things, you can support your forearms, you can support the forehead as you lower. In the event that you don't want to fold that deeply, just take that pillow and maybe hug it around your body. Maybe you're using a sturdy bolster and that can kind of stand vertically on its own as you lower your forehead down. So your choice here. But we'll start with the left shin in front, right knee behind us. The shin and that back knee could be as close or as far as you'd like them to be, depending on where they'd like to settle within the body. And after you readjust here and there, rearrange the props if needed. We can close our eyes. We'll allow ourselves to settle into stillness. Beginning to observe the sensations of stretch. Whatever the body is beginning to feel. And then whenever you're ready, you can allow the body to soften. And transitioning into our deeper awareness, releasing any muscles, softening through layers of bone. Relaxing into this particular shape. And as we continue to lean into the stillness, in what ways are we offering ourselves stability or structure in comparison to what's moving in the internal environment, the external environment? Offering ourselves this stability within the stillness to observe and to witness. We'll be here in deer for a few more breaths. And if you'd like to stay here in the shape a little longer, you're welcome to do so. Or if you're ready to release, we'll gently press down into the floor, into the props. And as you start to walk yourself up and out of deer, we'll mindfully let ourselves release. Your hands might lean back behind you, and as you unravel the legs, you might take a quick forward fold here. Instead, you might cross your shins, the arms can stretch up above. Your body might even take a little more comfort here and come to lay back down as you hug the knees into the chest. You might rock side to side there. Maybe you hang out in the little egg shape. But within time, after these counter movements, let yourself find a place to rebound. Taking that moment to, again, arrive into stillness. Still creating this sense of stability within ourselves and for ourselves. Breathing into any subtle sensations here, taking one more moment in rebound. And then, of course, if you'd like to stay where you are, you're more than welcome to do so. Maybe you awaken from rebound with a few intuitive movements, what feels good for the energetic body. And then we'll come back up to a seated shape, no rush at all, take your time. And then let's talk about coming into deer on the opposite side. So again, if you're sitting cross-legged, then bring your right shin in front of you, left knee back behind you. Okay. You might take that blanket again to support the right glute or the entire tailbone. Right? And again, using blocks, bolsters, pillows, you can really stack whatever you'd like to stack in any way to support the body here through the fold. Sometimes your right shin might shift a little closer or farther. Your right or your left knee might shift a little closer or farther. Until you're ready to settle into stillness. Even taking a few transitory breaths, welcoming yourself into this particular shape. Even feeling the movement of the stretch, right? Not from the physical body, but the movement of the fascia, the way it is lengthening. You can feel it gliding. You might feel the heartbeat. You might feel the movement of the breath circulating the body. And externally, there might be sounds of others within your home. There might be sounds of others moving in the streets, in the neighborhood. And as we let our awareness drift farther and farther and farther, there'll be more and more movement. But here within the physical body, the stillness offers us that structure, that foundation. Our physical body is that window pane of glass between the external movement and the internal movement. We'll spend a few more breaths here in deer. And if you'd like to stay a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. Or whenever you're ready, we'll gently begin to press down into the floor. And as you start to release from the stretch, here we get to offer some personalized movement, whether it's to forward fold over straight legs, whether it's to come into a seated twist from side to side. And again, maybe the body stays seated, maybe the body travels down onto the spine, finding some movement through the knees, maybe even a windshield wiper through the hips. And however the body would like to rest within that rebound, maybe this particular shape is different than the last. But we can take that meditative moment of resonance. Feeling the contraction of the fascia as the tissues make their ways back to the joints, to the muscles, bones, and organs within the body. And letting yourself soften. One more moment here in our rebound. And then, of course, if you'd like to stay a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. Or whenever you're ready, you might take a few little movements, wakening or awakening. And then let's talk about the next stretch here. So if you're not already laying down, you can come back to do so. You might find a pillow for the back of the head as we allow ourselves to transition into dove. But I'll give us a couple options here for dove. So as the knees bend and the feet come flat to the floor, you might lift up your tailbone for a second and just glide the pelvis underneath you. And as you lower back down, you'll feel more of your spine connected to the floor. We're going to allow this right knee to open up to the side. So now we're going to start with the right leg. As the right knee opens out to the side, you might want to take a pillow, a blanket, a block. And you can always prop the knee or thigh if you'd like. For a little bit more of the stretch though, you can walk this right foot underneath the left thigh. This will guide that right knee at a different angle. But then I'm going to offer one more option, which we don't always talk about, but tonight I want to bring it up. This idea of the left leg. Now your left foot might stay exactly where it is, or you can heel toe this left foot all the way out to the side as much as you'd like. And as you allow that hip to open, even in the left, the knee might open up. Maybe you come to the blade of the foot. You might take a block, a pillow or something, and prop that left thigh as it hinges back towards you. But that's basically just to say wherever you put this left leg, it could guide a different stretch in the right leg. So feel free to explore. You can always keep the left foot exactly where it is, flat on your mat, or maybe you take it off your mat, foot, toes pointing in a different direction, just like the knee. And then from there, We can allow the hands and the arms to relax wherever you'd like them to. Remembering you're never stuck, so you can always readjust, allowing yourself to follow those internal cues. And then, of course, from here, whenever you're ready, beginning to arrive into the shape a little more deeply as we soften. Letting go of unnecessary tension. And letting go of unnecessary control. Releasing into the body, receiving from the body. Just checking in with the breath here. You might notice these shifts from when we enter the particular shape. Then there's a shift from when we soften into one layer. We begin to experience that until we shift again and soften into another layer. Now here in Dove, you might take maybe 1 or 2 more breaths. And if that left foot is farther away from the mat, you can take your time to heel toe that foot back to center. And then we'll allow ourselves to begin to release from Dove entirely. Maybe the right hand comes down to help the right thigh or leg. And as you unravel here, you might hug this right knee into the chest, maybe both knees. It could feel good to reach the arms up and above the head and letting the legs go long. Of course, you can take any counter movements, but then letting these counter movements guide you into that place to rebound. Whether you're laying down on the back or belly, coming up to sit, Just whatever will offer you the most stability here. And softening, even in rebound. And taking another breath just to tune in and observe. If you'd like to stay here a little longer, you're more than welcome to. But if you're ready to come into dove on the opposite side, then again, we'll lay back down if we came up to sit. Knees bend, and with the feet flat to the floor, you have that option to lift up the tailbone, glide it underneath you. And then we'll open the left knee out to the side. Options to prop the left thigh, options to walk the left foot underneath your right thigh. And then of course you can keep your right foot where it is, and even, especially for tonight, if you'd like to, heel toe this right foot out to the right side. You might allow the hip to open, or maybe not. You could still have the right toes point to the diagonal. But if you are opening out that right hip and you do want to prop the right thigh, you might stack some blocks or you use a high bolster. And then from there, whether the hands stay near you, relax down to the sides of you, or stretch up above the head. Allowing yourself to fully relax here and settle. Beginning to guide your awareness throughout the layers of the body. And allow the awareness to help settle between the layers of muscle, between the layers of bone. If we're clenching the body in any way, can we patiently release? If there is a true benefit to that energetic hold, then keep it. But if you notice that these energetic holds are just applying pressure in an unnecessary way, that might guide us to decide to soften. We'll stay here in dove for a few more breaths. And before releasing from the shape entirely, if you have the right foot out far, you might heel toe it back close onto the mat, and then from there we can begin to release this left thigh. And your hands might come down to help the legs release. Maybe again you press into the feet and lift the hips up to extend the spine. Maybe the arms stretch and the legs lengthen. But the options here are endless. It might be as simple as just rolling into the ankles and rolling into the wrists. But eventually these counter movements will guide us into that meditative pause. And where we come back to our focus. We might lean into the stability here a little more. Maybe noticing the warmth of the breath. Maybe noticing the coolness of the body. And if you'd like to stay here and rebound a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. But if you're interested in coming into the next stretch, we might bend into the knees if we're laying down. We'll roll to one side of the body and gently come back up to sit. Once you are seated, if the body then again leads you into a little stretch or a little reach of the arms, allow your body to take you there. And then we'll let ourselves talk about our next stretch here. So we're going to come into half dragonfly. Now, when we do this, we'll start here with the left leg straight out and the right knee bent in. Okay. So we're taking like a half dragonfly shape, half butterfly shape. So a few things though, when we're talking about this, you might take blocks around your left calf or knee or thigh, right? Depending on where you want to go. And then you can take a pillow, bolster, blankets. You know, and the closer you have your props to you, there's going to be less round to the spine. As you let things go farther away, it's more of a reach. Now, whether it's stretching a little bit more intensely in the lower back, middle back, upper back, you can always prop this right knee, right? That might help just in terms of the stretch. Right? Sometimes it doesn't, but if you feel like that propping the thigh is helpful, you're welcome to try it. If you try it and realize it's not helpful, then just take it away. But as we fold over this left leg, right, allow your quad to relax, allow your knee to soften, let your ankle relax. You don't have to force yourself into the deepest stretch the quickest. We want to allow ourselves to work with that edge of today. We talk about riding the edge. That place between comfort and discomfort. And there'll be times where stability is going to offer us just senses of comfort. Sometimes stability will offer us sensations of discomfort. We can use the stillness here to offer us that sense of structure. To give us the opportunities to look within and understand. To feel within our internal body. From time to time, checking in with your breath. How is the breath responding to the stillness or responding to the quiet? You might check in with the gaze at the backs of the eyelids. Here within our half dragonfly, allowing yourself to take maybe 1 or 2 more breaths. You might stay a little longer, or whenever you're ready, we'll press down into the mat or into our props. And as we begin to walk ourselves back up to sit, we'll let the body naturally unravel. Again, you might come to lay down, or maybe the body takes you more into a tabletop shape. Maybe you're going to find some rounds of cat-cow, some sway to the hips. You might even end up rebounding in a child's pose shape. Again, options are endless. There's no right or wrong. Leaning into this idea of stability a little more. And how stillness offers that experience up for us. Letting yourself soften even in your rebound pose. And then from here, if you'd like to stay a little longer, you're more than welcome to. But if you're interested in coming into half dragonfly on the opposite side, we can take our time coming back up to sit. And then we're going to allow the right leg to straighten out. And then the left knee to bend in. Okay, so same idea. We might need to prop this left knee or thigh, right? Especially if there's extra pulling on the back that's not in a mindful stretch. We'd want to prop. You can take your blocks if you'd like to use them, right? And even in the event that you don't have any blocks, you can still take pillows and bolsters and things on top of the thighs, horizontal, vertical, standing, however you'd like to support. Maybe even propping the tailbone, maybe even propping the back of the knee. Essentially, if the body thinks of it, or the mind thinks of propping a certain place, you might as well try it. And then after adjusting or rearranging, we'll begin to settle here. Meeting the body exactly where it's at. Sometimes we think in order to get somewhere quickly, rushing is the answer. Rushing means we can somehow beat time or beat the clock. And maybe that's true in certain situations, don't get me wrong. But from our day-to-day experiences, how can our times and opportunities of stillness to give us stability get us there to our destination quicker? Or maybe it's not quicker, but maybe it's more healthier or more mindful or more supportive. So thinking of that as we soften into the shape of the body. In the same ways we would observe movement, we can observe stillness. Allow the eyes to look back at their internal screen, noticing shades of darkness or lightness. Maybe there are even things passing behind the eyes here. Just a few more breaths. And then whenever you're ready, You'll begin to press down into the floor or into the props. And as you lift up the head and chest, right, just notice where the body takes you. You might automatically find a twist. You might have the arms stretch up and reach. And again, whether the body has you unravel and lays down, or maybe you come back into that tabletop shape, straightening the legs behind you, moving through the spine. Again, maybe rebounding in child's pose or in some sort of seated shape. There's no judgment to the physical shape that we're taking, the posture that we're choosing to rest within. What matters is where our focus is within our awareness. What are we noticing? What are we witnessing? What are we feeling? So as you notice subtle sensations within your rebound, we can also notice our reclaimed space and expansion of breath. And taking one more breath exactly where you are. And of course, if you'd like to stay here, you're welcome to stay. Or we can begin to awaken from our rebound, maybe moving through the arms or moving through the legs. But then we'll let ourselves come back to lay down so that we can talk about that twist. Taking your time to get there. And even as we come back to lay down, you might find a pillow or a blanket or something to support the back of the head or the shoulders. Oh, I thought I knocked down my beverage and I got scared. So anyway, we're going to allow ourselves to first twist to the right so that we can have the left leg on top. But there's going to be a couple options here. So option one, again, you might glide the tailbone underneath you. And as you bring the knees in the chest, you're more than welcome as you twist to the right to just find supine, maybe a prop in between the thighs or underneath the right leg. But if you'd like to, we can straighten out this left leg and you might let it go across along the floor. Now, usually, that still brings some sensation, but if you want a little bit more, you can take a block or a pillow or a blanket, something to elevate that left foot. So as you're twisting to the right, left knee can stay bent if you're going to take supine, or you can straighten out that left leg and let the foot be elevated on a block or something, as high as you'd like it to go. And with the length of this left leg, if that ever becomes too much of a stretch or it's just uncomfortable for the body in a way that's not serving you, you can always bend through the knees again and find supine. Now you might need to prop the right hip. You might need to prop a pillow or a blanket in between the thighs. Even when straightening this left leg, sometimes it feels good to even prop the left knee. Usually I'll just fold up or roll up a blanket and prop my knee or my calf. But then from there, for the arms, if you pick up your shoulders, you might scooch your right shoulder, tuck it underneath you more. And as your arms relax down, whether they're in T or the elbows are bent, maybe the hands are resting on your body and they're closer towards you. You're welcome to play around and just do what's best. And then, of course, whenever you're ready, we can begin to settle. And as you notice any sensations through lower body or the torso, maybe through the shoulder blades or the chest. Not trying to control the sensation by any means. We might steer it or guide it with different adjustments, but there's no one right place to feel the stretch. So wherever your fascia needs to release today, that's what we'll experience. But nonetheless, offering ourselves the stability through the stillness. A foundation to allow the stretch to begin with in the first place. And we'll continue to support ourselves here as we relax into the shape, breathe into the shape, listen in. Releasing any unnecessary tension. Letting go of any clenching or gripping. As we guide ourselves to realign the physical body, realign our energetic body. We'll be here for a few more breaths. And if you'd like to stay here a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. But once you're ready to release, you might lower the arms down, and then the hands might help this left leg release. And then the right leg can release as we travel onto the back. Scooching through the shoulders, readjusting the crown of the head. Maybe the knees stay bent. Maybe the legs straighten out long. Your hands might rest somewhere on the body in a comforting way. And whether you transition right into rebound or take a few movements, that is your choice. Just often offering your awareness that stability, because it is constantly in some sort of motion, whether it's whatever we're focusing on in the external world, whether it's based in thought within the internal mind. But here we're almost giving our awareness two legs to stand on as we lean in consistently to the stillness. Taking one more breath or two more breaths, exactly where you are. And if you'd like to stay and rebound, you're welcome to do so. Or when you're ready, we'll transition again. Let's come to lay down on our back. And you might move through the hips, move through the shoulders. If you are using any prop for the right leg to straighten out upon, you might move those props now to the left side of the body. And then as you scooch onto the left hip, your knees might come up into the chest, again to take supine. But as the knees twist to the left, now the right leg is on top. Or you might straighten out this right leg and prop it right on that block at any height, on the bolster, on a pillow. You can always have a slight bend in this right knee as well. No, you don't have to force it to stay locked by any means. Whether you're propping just underneath the right foot, maybe also underneath the right knee or calf. Once you find the best placement for the legs, again, you can pick up your shoulder blades, scooch the left shoulder underneath you, letting the hands relax as they may. And if you haven't already, we'll begin to soften into the stretch. Letting ourselves relax into the layers of muscle, the layers of bone, the layers of fascial webbing. Releasing into the space within the organs, around the organs, even relaxing into the fluids of the body. And as we release within the space, we offer ourselves this grounding, this stability and structure that sometimes we miss within the constant currents of movement. Checking in with the breath, breathing however you'd like. The breath might shift as well, not just the stretch, but the way in which your breathing can change from pose to pose, from rebound to rebound. We'll be here in our twist for a few more breaths. very slowly. Whenever you're ready to release, your arms might lower down, your hands might help this right leg unravel. And then the left leg will unravel as we all transition onto the back, readjusting the hips, the shoulders. And maybe taking some sort of counter movements, whether the knees hug into the chest, the legs might dangle in the air, the arms might dangle in the air. Maybe you don't need any particular movement at all, and you just come to take that pause. And letting yourself find that moment within rebound where we get to observe the after effects. Pausing here so that the fascial memory can absorb that experience. The energetic body continues to reclaim its space. As we observe this pulse within the entire body. Taking a moment to come back to your awareness, you might bend into the knees again and bring the feet flat to the floor. Let's allow ourselves to come into any final movements. So one more time, if you'd like to hug the knees into the chest, do so. If you'd like to roll into the ankles, roll into the wrists. Again, with the option of straightening the legs and just letting them dangle in the ceiling, or even bringing your arms into cactus, right? Just opening up through the shoulder blades for a moment. It could be any final movement. But then within your time, we'll make our way into Shavasana. So letting Shavasana be our full final rebound of the entire practice. You might find a blanket to cover the body. You might find a pillow to support the head. Maybe a pillow or bolster underneath the knees. Allowing ourselves to gravitate towards stillness. Except within this shape, we're allowing ourselves to be as comfortable as possible. Not looking to feel any particular fascial stretch. Maybe there's a subtle sensation or two. And as we reflect on the external environment and witnessing any sort of current of motion, maybe our internal environment, our internal body serves as the undercurrent. We might not be able to see anything physically, but we can feel and use our energetic resources. And throughout our final pose here, your mind might transition or sway into the external current, then it might sway into the undercurrent, back and forth. But in between the movements, we can observe the stillness and what the physical body offers here. Now it gives us that grounding structure and that stability. Witnessing here the ever-moving world in conjunction with the stillness the stability and support of the physical body, we'll absorb our practice, welcoming ourselves into Shavasana. Very gently, let's begin to deepen our breath, noticing the placement of our hands and noticing the placement of our feet. We can begin to find some gentle movement into the fingers and toes or the wrists and ankles. And as you awaken a little more here, you might lift through the arms. They can straighten and stretch up above the head. Instead, you might wrap the arms around the body, opening through the backs of the shoulders as you hug onto the chest. If it feels good, you can bend into the knees, bringing the feet flat to the floor. You might hug the knees into the chest one more time and rock gently side to side. And then, of course, after any other awakening movements, we'll roll either to the left or to the right. And as you pause, you'll feel the release of your back. Allow the back to take this fresh breath of air. You can choose to stay here, or you might gently press down into the floor and come back to a seated shape. However you'd like to end your practice, no better or worse. But from there, let's come back into stillness. We'll reclose the eyes in case they've opened. And just taking a moment to reflect on our practice. Noticing reclaimed space, expansion, clarity. Your hands might stay relaxed within the lap, or you'll guide them into prayer at heart center. And we'll take one closing breath here. Together, we'll inhale through the nose and open the lips to exhale. Gently bowing the chin to the chest. Thank you for practicing with me this evening, being elevated through yoga. Namaste.